Hello, all. In our series Recruit to Retain 1111, we talk about, through Automax recruiting and training, staffing automotive dealerships. That is primarily what we as a company do. We've been working with automotive dealers for the past 22 years in an effort to attract high quality applicants to the automotive industry. Today, we're going to take a look at what we term retention. Retention is ultimately the goal, the ultimate goal of recruiting. So, borrowing a line from Stephen Covey, where you start with the end in mind, well, what is the end in mind when you recruit somebody? It's to retain them. And like any goal that you would have for yourself, you have to visualize that. You have to see and you have to understand, you have to know what that means to you. What does retention mean to you within your organization? Is retention of an employee mean that that person's there with you for 10 years? That's what retention means to us. Is it 5 years? Is it 1 year? Is it 6 months? Is it somebody that you've hired and they're working with you now and it's 3 years and they brought people to your organization? They've added people to the team. Is that your definition of retention? It doesn't matter to me what your definition of retention is, but it should matter to you that you have an understanding of what retention means to your organization. What is your culture? What is retention? When you look around your team of people and you see the people there, well, okay, how long have they been there? And how did they get there? What steps did you take to maintain them? In our series, through these Wednesdays at 11:11, we're going to talk about all things recruiting, all the way back to how you advertise to attract quality applicants, how you then market yourselves to be a place that people want to come to, how you interview properly, how you onboard properly, tips on the hiring process to speed that up. We're going to talk about once you bring them on board, how to develop them. The retention is definitely plays a part of that. All of these steps before that are going to play a part of retention. First of all, you got to know what retention is. You have to define it for your organization. What are you trying to achieve as far as retention? What do you want to have? Is retention, like I said, someone that's been there for 2 years, 3 years, and it may vary for people. There may be people in today's world where you're going to have flexibility in hiring them, knowing that they may only be with your organization for 2 years. For that person, maybe that is full retention because perhaps they're in college or they're trying to study for something else, or maybe they have another dream in life, and that auto sales, for instance, if that's your field, auto sales is a means to get them to another goal. But while they're with you, they're a high achiever because they're trying to accomplish another goal. So sometimes retention can be different. It doesn't have to always be, long term. Retention may be what is the most value that we as an organization can provide to this employee while they're with us, and how long can we have that person with us? And let's get to that point. Maybe it is someone that's with you for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it may be, and they advance into manage other levels of responsibility. Maybe that is retention to you. My point is you've got to start with that as a focus in order to get to that point. I can tell you that within the top performing organizations that we see, and keep in mind, as a company, we work with about 35 to 40 auto dealer clients on a weekly basis. Oftentimes, we're physically inside their dealerships with one of our trainers on site that facilitates the interview process and training process. So we're there hands-on and we see best practices. I can share with you that when you have a team of people that we use the phrase feel in on things, that's huge. That's so huge. It's so important to people. In other words, your employees are a part of what's expected. They're not just being told what to do, but they have some input into that. So what I mean by that is clear expectations. One way to help achieve retention within your organization is for everybody on your team to clearly know what is expected of them. In other words, if you have somebody that starts with your company in any position, do they have a clearly defined understanding in their mind of what is expected of them? Like if they did their job and it would make you happy, like you're the boss, I've just started this opportunity. I want to do really well. I expect to grow here. I want to make a career out of this. What do you expect of me? Like if I did my job well, what is that? What is doing my job well? my day-to-day responsibilities, what would you expect of me a year from now that you can look at me and I can look at you and you can say to me, you did a really good job. You did everything I expected of you. I'm really happy. I'm really proud of you. You're a solid member of the team. Thanks so much. Well, what is that? If you yourself can't define that for your individual that you've hired, then you've got to obviously make some think about it, right? You can't bring somebody on board and leave them just off to the wind that they ought to know what they're doing. They hire them, they're a salesperson, they're this, they're that, and they're going to handle it. No. You've got to take that responsibility as the leader within the organization. So once you can define for that person clearly what your expectations are and what's going to make you happy, that you can look each other in the eye. You did a really good job. Fantastic. Now, the next step is what would make it exceptional? What could I do as your employee a year from now that when this is done and we're sitting down again, that I've blown you away? What would be exceptional? I can guarantee you, if you have employees on your team that know what is expected and what is a good job, and they're not in trouble for it, they've done well, okay? They've met the requirements of the job, you're happy, okay? But what's the next step? What would allow them to be exceptional? You put that target there, you let them know clearly what it is, they on their own will figure out ways to get there, and so will you. You're going to strive to help them get to that point. Well, guess what? If people are achieving on a high level, they're going to stay. That's the kind of environment people want to be in. People need direction. They need to know what is expected. So that's some things. And then what I would say to you is you've got to also reward good behavior. I know maybe it does sound so, I don't know. You got to reward the things that you want. You got to reward those things. You got to give those the carrots. You're not going to dwell and focus on the things that aren't working well. You're going to have to address it. And you ought to address it privately with an individual if it hasn't gone the way you want it to be. You don't have to make a big scene in front of everybody else. On the side, hey, Johnny, come over here. Let me talk to you for a second. This happened, okay? That's how you correct behavior. But you reward what's being achieved, what you want to have, out and accolade with everybody. Make a big deal out of the good behaviors that you're trying to achieve. You keep doing things like that, and you're going to find that people want to work for you. They want to stay. They want to come to work every day. They want to be a part of the organization. They want to contribute to your organization. That's how you build retention. Now, it's not the only way, but it's not going to hurt. So those are just a quick hit for today. We're going to be back every Wednesday, virtually every Wednesday. I'm not human. So in any event, I appreciate the time. It's Ernie Kasperowitz with Automax Recruiting, proud member with Craig Lockard and Joe Lockard and everybody else on the team. For those of you that work in automotive retail, we are a valuable resource, not just in staffing and helping you find quality people, which we definitely will do, but also in developing your staff. Our trainers are exceptional. They've all come from the automotive industry. If you're outside of the automotive industry, our advertising mechanism and process does a fantastic job of, again, finding talented people. So today, just recap real quick, we talked about retention. You have to start, the whole purpose of recruiting somebody is to retain them. So we're going to, in the series, go through ways in which you can ultimately not just hire people, but retain the people that you hire. Have at it. I appreciate it. Wouldn't mind if you guys share this out. You know, I'm just one guy. The more we share it, the more we talk about it. Give me some feedback. I'd really appreciate that as much as anything. You know, give me a comment along and you know, give me your thought about retention and things that you already do that help with retention at your organization. There's a lot of different things. I only touched on a couple. The feeling in on things, clear expectations, allows people to excel and reward good behavior. Those are some tips to get you started. We'll talk again next week. Thank you very much. Catch you again.